everybody and welcome to episode 13 of Dollhouse Build. Here is the basement back, and today, finally, 13 episodes in, we are finally going to be gluing some pieces together. So I am dead excited for this. But first, we do need to put some wallpaper on this bit. So this back, there'll obviously be a partition here, which I haven't made yet. But it will go something like that, and this back bit is going to be a cloakroom, so it's going to separate the front to the back. So what I think I'm going to do, I need to decide where this partition will be so that I can get that wallpapered and these two side areas wallpapered, and then we can put the partition in after and obviously wallpaper that separately. But we'll get this side in, and then I think we need to start marking up where that partition will be. Okay, so that's the end wall, and the partition is going to be coming across here. Now, what I've decided to do is just make a note so that it's equidistant between there, and just make a note of exactly what that is, and that is where the start of the partition will be. So I'll draw that on, I'll draw that along the front, and then I'll make a note on this side as well so that I know where to put the wallpaper up to. Okay, so that area to the side is just 20, if I just line it up exactly, it comes to about 29 millimeters. So we'll make a note 29 on this side, and then we'll draw the line down there. Okay, so I've just drawn the 29 millimeters from there, and then this other line is 9 millimeters apart, so that's exactly where the partition will sit. So we'll draw a line across here as well, and we'll put the same as that on this opposite side as well, so we know where the wallpaper needs to go to on this side. Okay, so we've got all those areas marked up now. So that's where the partition will be, and we need to wallpaper this right hand side, the back wall, and the left hand side where the window is. So we'll get cracking with that. Okay, so the wallpaper paste, I've just actually mixed a little bit of Gorilla Glue with some water now. I don't know if that's a bit too wet, but it was a bit too thin to brush on initially, so we'll try that and see how we go. Okay, so for this side piece with a window, I just lined it up with the bottom corner as I did for the back piece, and then I made a note here where the line is and at the bottom, cut that off, and then all I did is held it on like that, very steady, turned it around, I drew round the window, and then all I've done is just go a couple of millimetres outside of that window, because obviously that window framing will sit on the inside. And that's what I'm left with, which fits pretty much on there perfectly. So we'll get that part glued on. Okay, so that's all three pieces put on now, and they're just drying. Now I did mention when I dry built the basement about this part here. So this part is where the stairs landing goes into of the hallway, and then obviously the kitchen's this side. And I said I might need to fill that because the stairs part went in and it left a little gap there. Now this wallpaper is actually so thick, it's basically photo paper, matte photo paper. So even if I go like that, you can't see any kind of indentation or anything. That's perfectly smooth. So actually once that little partition goes in there, I won't need to do any filling at all. Certainly on that side, I might need to do, well, I will need to do a bit on this side because obviously it's painted, you will see it. But on that side, it's just gone on perfectly smooth. So I'm really happy with that. And now all these pieces are done, we can probably have a look at getting some glue onto the main structure. So this is the basement floor, and we're going to be attaching the back there, the right hand side, the left hand side, and then the two partitions in the middle. We're not going to be adding this partition yet because basically I haven't made it yet. So that partition for the cloakroom we'll be making after. And I'll be putting the top on, not gluing, but I'll be just putting it on to keep everything in place while it's drying. But the top, I do want to be able to take off because for lighting, and also to get into that area there once that partition's in, to do the flooring and the skirting and the coving, etc. So that'll be glued on last. But I will put it on just to sort of hold everything in place. So we'll get going with that. Okay, so we're up to here and I'm having an absolute nightmare with this area. So I've put the top on, and although I've said about grooves all the way through, I've completely forgot that the top actually goes down here a little bit. And as I've pushed the top on, it's actually warped all this paper. So I need to take a little slither off here and off this side so that the top will fit in the grooves okay. Okay, so that was very, very stressful, but we have managed to take some there off the top so that it will go into the grooves. And I noticed as I come to put this up that there was a slight gap at the bottom there, and I've had to just run a tiny little strip up to cover that up. Now, because when that goes in, the door will be here and the door will be opening that way, and obviously there'll be an area here you won't be able to see that, but that could have been a huge problem. So even though I allowed a couple of millimeters either side, I think I need to allow a little bit more next time. And this wallpaper, because it's like photo paper, it's been a blessing and a curse. A blessing in that I absolutely made an error massively with the wallpaper paste. Do not add water, just put it onto the backboard and then stick the wallpaper on. It ended up being far too wet, and after 10 minutes it hadn't adhered at all, so I started again with it. So yeah, just put your glue on and use a brush just to smear it around, and then put your paper on top, and that tended to hold it very, very well. So yeah, because I made the error and all the drama as it's got its glue on, I've just managed to wipe it off, and it's been a blessing in that way. It's been a curse in the way that because it's quite thick, obviously you've got to be very careful in terms of if any of these areas are going into grooves in other areas, because as you put it on, it was just curling up. Luckily that hadn't dried too much, otherwise I could have completely ruined that piece of paper, and it would have been a nightmare taking it off because obviously the structure's built there, so I would have had to dismantle the whole lot. So fingers crossed, I think I've got away a little bit lightly with that. Lessons learned as always. I have built several dolls houses in the past, and like I said, everyone comes with its challenges. But as you can see, I'm really happy with how that wallpaper looks. It's got that beautiful hare and pheasant design with the floral aspect there, and that's going to be lovely for the cloakroom in the back there. So we'll just wait till this little edging's dried. We'll put this on and then we'll just slot the top on as well. Okay, so the whole structure is now glued apart from the roof, which is just sat on top to hold everything in place. For some reason, that corner of the roof is always difficult to get in. It always has to have an extra sort of pat to make sure it goes in okay. Yeah, it's been a struggle, I've got to be honest. I forgot how difficult it was to put pieces like this together, and when they've already slotted into place and you've dry built them, as soon as you put paint on, you know, it's a different kettle of fish. And even though I've tried to remember where slots are, grooves are, things you need to, you know, be aware of, there's still a few I've missed. So yeah, always if you're decorating beforehand like I've done, it's very easy, but it's much easier to do them when the house is built. But just be careful again of all those sort of slots and grooves and everything else. Also, things like this, I glued right along the bottom and then realised I didn't need to glue there, so I had to sponge that out because obviously it's got the door frame in. So just be wary of it. I mean, it's not such a big deal. The door frame will sit sort of across that anyway, but just little things like that. So yeah, really happy with that wallpaper. And once everything's dried, we can start having a look at putting the windows in and the doors in, I think. And that obviously that little platform at the top needs to be slotted through. It'll have to be slotted through that side now because obviously we've got wallpaper on that side. And then I need some MDF. So what I've been doing, I've been looking for, I've been searching Facebook Marketplace just for free MDF, because a lot of places will actually let you have like little offcuts free of charge. So I've just been looking pretty much daily or every other day to see what I can find. I did get some MDF off my uncle, who saw a Facebook request that I just said, has anybody got any spare MDF? But it's 6mm, so it's not going to be suitable for that area because of the doors, the way the doors need to go in. You know, it does need a 9mm piece of wood, so I can't put that in there. But I am going to be building some fireplaces, so I will be using that 6mm for that. So that's pretty much it for this video, I think. We'll leave it there. And thank you very much for watching.